we are going to be finishing up Chapter 1 of Project Eden's Garden. You know, get through the trial and everything. Hope that I remember what I was doing. So, without further ado, let's get started.
Diana, now's your chance to defend yourself. Tell me what happened.
Where do I even start, though?
How about you begin by explaining why you went to the boiler room?
Why I went there? It was 'cause of a note.
A note?
2 days ago, someone slid one into my room. I never got to see who. I just heard a knock. And when I walked over, there was a note under my door.
I don't remember any of this.
Sorry. It was midday-ish, and you weren't there at the time. And I didn't show you the note later because, well, I'll just read you what it said.
Diana, as you are aware, it is our obligation to speak to those whose blackmail we have obtained. If you're receiving your blackmail and reading the information disclosed in it, believe the meeting between us is warranted. In 2 days' time, please come to the underground boiler room at exactly 8:45 a.m. Make sure to arrive promptly and close the door behind you. To avoid discourse, do not show anyone this letter. Do not approach me about it either, even in private. There is always a chance someone is listening. Wolfgang.
Wolfie read this?
Wolfgang had Diana's blackmail? But didn't he have Jean's?
Hold on a sec. If you take a closer look, the handwriting on that note, doesn't it resemble the handwriting on Wolfgang's note?
You're actually right. Even though Wolfgang's note has been water damaged, the words I can make out were in the same messy scroll as Diana's here.
Then someone else was posing as Wolfgang?
The killer, most likely. They must have thought his word was the only one Diana would follow.
Guess it worked, huh?
I didn't want to show this note earlier because I was scared of how people would try to twist it. Like saying I faked the note, or that I decided to kill because of it. I thought it would be better to just stay quiet.
Alright, we're getting a second chance. Now we should say that we had his blackmail.
I know you guys think I'm stupid for agreeing to meet in a place like the boiler room. And I am stupid. I just didn't want to disappoint Wolfgang, in case he really did write the note, which was why I left my room around 8:40 a.m. and went downstairs.
Did you catch any strange movement down there?
No, it was just me. I did find the boiler room door hanging open a little bit, but I didn't think much of it. I just went inside and closed the door behind me, since that's what the note asked me to do.
Oh, and she accidentally got herself locked inside, didn't she?
The boiler room was really dark, so the first thing I noticed was actually the security camera light. My eyes had to take a few seconds to adjust to everything else. But after that, I finally saw him. Wolfgang was lying in the water, making these weird noises. It didn't seem like he'd even noticed me entering the room. Not until... Wolfgang? Hearing his name seemed to snap him out of his trance, because he slowly rose to his feet. Wolfgang, are you okay?
It's you.
Huh?
I can't
believe it.
I know it's supposed to be water. He just looks like he's kind of melting.
I really am. Finally meeting you.
What do you mean?
Please, forgive me. Please forgive me for what I've become.
Wolfgang?
Despite how hard I tried, how much I wanted it to be true, I could never become you. I will always be a failure.
It's okay, Wolfgang. Look, there's stairs over here. Come over here and we can get out. I have no idea if he didn't hear me, or if he was just ignoring me. But, okay. I'll get closer to you then. I went over to the ledge of the platform, the part where the fence had a gap. Just take my hand, okay? And I'll pull you out. He slowly stumbled over, and he held my hand. I didn't really think I could pull him out. I just wanted to be there for him. It was the best I could do, because I didn't want to enter the water. Staying on the platform felt so much safer. And I really, really hate that it did. It's okay, Wolfgang. We'll get through this together, all right? I was looking at him when I said that. I was looking right at him, but somehow... Somehow I didn't think to react. When he reached inside his blazer.
Bring her back. Bring her back!
Props to whoever designed these sprites.
I tried to leave the room, but the door was locked. I didn't know what to do. I started looking around for things to defend myself with. And that's when I saw the gun.
The taser gun? Did you use it?
I took the taser, and I aimed it at Wolfgang, and I couldn't do it. I couldn't shoot him. I just backed away from him. I couldn't understand anything. Why was this happening to me? Why was I being attacked? Why can't I do anything to...
I'm not like you. I'll never be like you. I won't give up until the world knows
So everyone knows me as...
All of a sudden, everything turned white. Everything in front of me. Except Wolfgang. In those few seconds, he became pitch black. And then, so did everything else. Even though I didn't see Wolfgang fall over, I heard it. His body cracking against the pavement. And his knife falling into the water. I waited for the gasp of pain, for him to groan or mumble or say something, but there was nothing. There was just me and the silence. That's how it happened.
What the?
How do you react to something like that?
What the fuck?
That's accurate.
That man attacked you?
Oh my goodness, Diana, I'm at a loss for words.
I mean, he was likely
This is getting too much
hallucinating,
for me, Rose.
but...
I think I'm gonna faint.
Holy shit. So Diana really did watch Wolfgang die.
Why was he so violent towards her? It's like he became an entirely different person.
The word you're looking for is crazy.
Despite how hard I try, and how much I wanted it to be true, it could never become you. Why would Wolfgang say those words in that particular
How'd you
moment?
manage to escape the boiler room after all that?
I mean, he was likely hallucinating,
By
right?
picking the door's lock.
For reals?
I wasn't even thinking. I just started feeling my way back to the door in the dark. And then, well, my supply bag. I remembered the spare hairpins I always kept inside. So I felt around the bag and dug one out.
Is
To
that
be
what that metal
honest,
wire we had was?
I have no idea how I managed to unlock the door. The whole thing was repeated trial and error. Just minutes of me telling myself that somehow this next attempt will finally work.
Whoa! Actually unlocking the doors. That's like hitting a bullseye blindfolded.
Now we know why it took so long for her to escape.
I realized why it happened. Getting trapped inside, I mean. The door's lock was on the outside. So, someone must have set the lock before I came downstairs. So that when I closed the door, I'd be trapped.
The lock is normally on the inside too. The killer purposely flipped it, then left the door open so you would be the one to close it. As for why the killer locked the door to begin with,
It was to frame Diana, right?
Or get her killed.
right, the killer made Diana trap herself inside the boiler room so they could kill Wolfgang in front of her and force her to remain by his body. Had their plan worked, Diana would only be able to escape if someone from outside entered the boiler room. By which point, that someone would be stumbling across what looks like a cut-and-dry murder case.
If the tournament folk found Diana, they would have been playing right into the killer's hands.
Speaking of which... Diana, I'm curious to know, did you unlock the door before or after the tournament attendees arrived downstairs?
It sort of happened at the same time. Like, when I opened the door, there were already people walking down the stairs. Obviously, I couldn't stay inside the boiler room. If anyone saw me close to Wolfgang's body, it would look really bad. The hallway was a bit easier to make out in the dark. So I walked over to a wall bordering one of the storage closets and hid behind it. And stayed as quiet as possible. I was still bleeding a little from Wolfgang's cut, though. And some of that blood ended up dripping onto the floor around me.
It's the blood on the underground floor! It's all coming together!
This was shortly before us tournament goers split up. And you made a run for it, yeah?
Mm-hmm. Down the hallway, up the stairs, and then as quietly as possible into my room. Since everything was still really dark, I had to patch myself using the Tozu trinket's protection as my light. I realize this is a lot, and I know it's hard to believe without proof. So, if you guys could just give me a second.
Makeup wipes? Reaching into her bag, Diana pulled out a wipe and began scrubbing her arm.
I cleared up the blood pretty fast. Luckily for me, the cut wasn't that deep. There's still a chance it may leave a scar, though.
Holy crap! That's awful!
It's okay. I'll cover it back up again.
Why did Wolfgang attack you for no reason?
I wouldn't say it was for no reason.
You're being kind of insensitive, man.
Huh? I didn't mean it like that. What I'm trying to say is, Wolfgang's actions may look random from an outsider's perspective, but from his perspective, well, judging by his behavior, it seems like he saw something which shook him to his core.
Like, there was something in the room that Diana didn't see?
That's impossible! It was only me and Wolfgang in the boiler room!
Hallucinations.
I don't believe John meant it in a literal sense.
Wolfgang literally saw something?
He thought he saw something, is my point.
You mean he had been hallucinating?
What did Wolfgang hallucinate for him to turn out the way Diana described?
You'd be surprised by the sort of things our minds can invent. I'm lucky to have never experienced anything myself, but I know some who have hallucinated nasty things. Demons and monsters. Or the feeling of being tortured.
It's probably his dad.
If Wolfgang went through something similar, I can see why he lashed out.
Now what the heck is going on at sea?
Of course, these hallucinations don't just happen out of the blue. More often than not, they're substance-induced.
Substance-induced?
Just say Wolfgang took a hallucinogenic.
Hallucinogenics?
One which induced a lot of fatigue, too, judging by the way he lumbered about in Diana's account.
It would explain why Wolfgang mostly stayed in one place.
One place, which happened to be in the water.
Seems very deliberate. Aye. I reckon the killer knocked Wolfgang unconscious in order to drag him into the water, but knew he would eventually wake up again. So they drugged him with something which would basically make him despondent. As for where the drug came from...
Oh no! Don't tell me the killer robbed...
I knew exploring it was a bad idea.
It? What's this it we're talking about?
The pharmacy, I'm assuming?
The pharmacy, obviously. Why the heck did we think leaving that place open was a good idea? Now someone's stolen an item and drugged Wolfgang. Fuck! I knew our promise was too good to be true! I can't trust any of you guys! And don't say Wolfgang drugged himself! Who wants to be tortured by demons?
Well, stranger people do exist.
That's rich coming from you!
It's just as I predicted. Exploring the pharmacy ended up paving the way for the murderer. Should I have made more of an attempt to stop people from exploring? Back then, all I did was, with caution, I yawned my way through that. Hang on. Shh. You know what? Fuck it. We'll start here. Giving everyone unrestricted access to medication sounds like a disaster in the making. But having already evoked the group's ire after speaking my mind before, I wasn't about to make the same mistake twice. Just keep quiet, let them do their thing. Then again, nobody would have listened to me. Especially not with Wolfgang in control.
If we know where the perpetrator got their chemicals, I guess our next step is figuring out how they did the drugging.
Agreed. It would help us better understand the timeline of events, and potentially even validate Diana's testimony.
I'd assume with a needle.
Sounds like you guys can leave this one to me. I'm the kind of person who knows someone back to front the moment I meet them. If you haven't already realized, I've gone and read this killer like an open book.
You're the last person I trust to reach a correct conclusion.
I don't know, I want to hear this.
Just you wait! The second you hear what I gotta say, you'll be eating those words.
Pinning down how Wolfgang was drugged may validate Diana's testimony. The question is, how did the killer drug him? Right.
I bet the killer took a pill.
I have my slow down ready. Because he speaks just fast. There we go.
Got it.
When Wolfgang's wounds were discussed earlier, it was mentioned he had a tiny red dot below the bruise on his neck. During the investigation, I thought this dot was a scab from a mole or pimple. Knowing Wolfgang was drugged, it's clear to see what it really is. A puncture wound.
Considering the timeline of events, an injection would check out. If Wolfgang got drugged a little after 8:15 a.m. and was already feeling the effects when Diana arrived at 8:45 a.m., then we're dealing with something which entered his bloodstream in under 30 minutes. Any normal pill would have taken, probably an hour to dissolve.
Whilst an injection would be much quicker. I see.
That's probably another reason why the killer knocked Wolfgang unconscious. It would have been incredibly difficult to inject him if he was still moving around. Only when they had him right where they wanted. Dazed and unable to fight back, did they plunge the syringe into his neck.
With said syringe being filled with a hallucinogenic.
But if this all happened a few minutes after 8:15 a.m., doesn't that make it impossible to pin a suspect?
What? Why is it impossible?
Because everybody's got an alibi for that time. I mean, Damien and I were in my dorm room, and the other party people...
8:15 a.m. Yeah, I was already in the dining hall with Jet, Mark, and Ego.
I left Wolfgang's dorm right after the morning announcement and spent the rest of the hour with Jean.
When Nona and I were in our dorm room together.
And me and Eloise were already sitting down in the courtyard.
Toshiko was giving me the medication she grabbed from the pharmacy.
And, I stayed in my dorm room until 8:40 a.m.
Oh no. If everyone can be accounted for, we really can't assign a suspect.
So, we're back to square one?
Someone here must be lying.
And doesn't plan to stop.
What's screwing us over here? Is there part of this mystery we're getting wrong? Or could it be we're overlooking something? It's ruled out as having no relation to the murder because the wires don't touch the water. But the position of it, the fact it's destroyed, the timing of the blackout. One coincidence is easy to wave off, but when it's coincidence after coincidence after coincidence, then there's something more going on. There's something more to the generator.
If everyone has an alibi for 8:15 a.m., is it possible the killer never actually attacked Wolfie at that time? But his little note said to come by at 8:15 a.m., didn't it?
Ingrid, do you remember what you said when we couldn't figure out who stole Desmond's taser?
To be honest, I'm drawing blank.
You suggested we switch subjects and discuss Wolfgang's injuries instead, which we did. As a result, we ended up unraveling more about the case than if we had stuck to the original topic. Right now, we're at a dead end. If we can't get any more leads out of this current discussion, then that's a sign to switch our focus.
Switch our focus to what?
I want to take another look at Diana's testimony.
Mine?
Back when you were describing Wolfgang's death, something stuck out to me.
I won't give up. Until everyone knows me as... Kaboom. All of a sudden, everything turned white. Everything in front of me, except Wolfgang. In those few seconds, he became pitch black. And then, so did everything else.
The flash of white Diana described must have been the generator exploding, with the darkness afterwards being the blackout. Think about the order of events there. In just a few seconds, the boiler room's generator explodes, and Wolfgang falls over dead. Doesn't it sound like the two are correlated?
Oi, didn't we go over this already?
We did. The generator has nothing to do with Wolfgang's death. Its wires weren't touching the water.
Indeed. Which is why the murder weapon is the taser gun.
Diana said she never used the taser, though.
Then she's lying!
Or it was used before she got there?
That's not true! I never fired the gun!
It's all good. I believe you. Sure, nobody can dispute the gun was fired. What can be disputed, though, is when it got fired. I wouldn't be surprised if the killer fired that gun way in advance. Like, sometime before Wolfgang arrived downstairs and left it in the boiler room for us to find later.
What? So the taser gun isn't the murder weapon?
If Wolfgang wasn't killed with the taser gun or the generator, what other options are we left with?
The taser gun is the only option which makes sense. The murder weapon can't be anything else.
The true murder weapon. Is it possible there's a third source of electricity we haven't considered yet? Am I grasping at straws by thinking something like that?
Anyway, the only proof Diana never shot the taser is her own word.
Huh?
Ava! What do you mean?
All the evidence supporting your version of events is circumstantial. The note you showed us? That could be a fake alibi you made for yourself. The fact that it has the same handwriting as Wolfgang's is already suspicious.
Couldn't that just mean the same person tricked them?
Show us your fucking handwriting,
Diana
Ava.
didn't write it, then maybe. But do you see what I'm saying? There's
If you're
no
gonna
proof
throw
Diana
stones, give
never
us
wrote
proof
the
that
notes.
that's not your
There's only
handwriting.
her word to go by. Because if she did write them, everything about her entering the boiler room at 8:45 a.m. and being locked inside could be a total lie.
I get what you're saying. But if we run with the idea that Diana was the one waiting for Wolfgang all the way back at 8:15 a.m., then we're stuck with the issue we had last time. Why did Diana wait over an hour to kill him?
That's also circumstantial. None of us know what really went on between those two in an hour. Ruling someone out because they took a long time to murder is stupid.
Without context? Sure, I'd say the same. But since the boiler room is unlocked, anyone can enter. If Diana knocked Wolfgang out, then she took over an hour to kill him with that infinite.
Okay, but who would enter? No one wants to make a detour down some gross, freaky-looking basement. The boiler room is probably the most covert place a person can be.
The most covert place? Her words do make sense. After all, I chose to meet Tozu in the boiler room for that very same reason.
Diana claims she didn't write the notes, and she claims she didn't shoot the gun. But where's the hard proof she didn't do any of these things?
The answer lies in what destroyed the generator.
What?
Didn't we already talk about that?
All you guys did was discuss theories, never anything concrete. Settling for a theory isn't good enough when our lives are on the line. In the same way Ava can't rule out Diana's involvement in the case, we can't rule out the generators.
So, we have to figure out what destroyed the generator? What should we do? Just throw out ideas?
It's what we've been doing this whole time.
Oakley dokley. Alright, everyone. Let's put our thinking hats on. If we work together, we'll unravel this mystery for sure. Ready? On your marks, get set, go!
Alright, I'm assuming it has to do with that shrapnel. I still think it's gotta be something pressurized. And I'm still thinking maybe a
Could have just been an electrical fault.
fire
So,
thing.
a coincidence?
I forget what it's called.
Situation?
A fire killer, whatever it's. I can't remember the name of it. Fire extinguisher.
At the generator that made it explode?
Perhaps it's the fault of the taser gun? The electrical discharge it released might have connected with the generator and created an overabundance of energy, which caused everything in the circuit to pop.
Probably.
Button.
Couldn't prove anything besides the taser.
There we go.
No, that's wrong!
Unfortunately, Ava, I have to disagree. You say nothing but the taser could have been involved in the murder. But there's one possibility you didn't consider. The shrapnel in the water.
You mean those bits of red metal which were floating around?
Right. The ones that look like the aftermath of an explosion. Due to their proximity to the generator, it's safe to assume the two are connected.
Can't that just be debris left by the generator?
Except this debris is a completely different color and lacks the rust the generator has accumulated. We're obviously looking at the remnants of something else, which means an object we haven't yet identified was caught in the explosion.
And flying near it was another out-of-place item. The extension cord, right? Yeah.
This is it.
The water was also an extension cord, half of which had been burnt away.
Huh? Did the cord get caught in the explosion?
Seems that cord has the misfortune of floating around the wrong place at the wrong time.
From what I saw in my investigation, the building's extension cord supply seems to be kept inside storage closet D. So in a way, yeah, it was definitely in the wrong place.
Storage closet D, huh? It was hard to make out much of it in the dark. And after the power came on, Kai came screaming for us to leave our closets. But I do recall seeing some extension cords peeking out from behind the shelf.
Since we already know the killer raided my storage closet, anyone else willing to bet they raided this one too?
The hell did they need an extension cord for?
A wire in the water.
Probably something involving the generator, given its proximity to the cord.
Same thing with the red bits, even though we don't know what they are.
Right. Red shrapnel. Fire extinguisher? Definitely isn't debris left by the generator, so what exactly is it? I'm assuming it's gonna be a spot, isn't it? So far, nothing in the boiler room can be directly tied to the shrapnel. At least, not any of the clues that have already been discussed in the trial. If I were to flip my thinking and consider the clues we haven't checked, there's no proof what I have in mind is related to the shrapnel, but when all of their options are ruled out, I can only turn towards the one that hasn't. The one thing the mysterious shrapnel might be related to? Please. Please tell me it's something. Damn it. It's a bobby pin. The odd smell? I don't know. This is for this.
Hold that thought. We may be able to identify the shrapnel using context clues. During the investigation, there was a strange smell permeating the boiler room. It took me a moment to notice, but when I did, well, the best way to describe the scent would be if you mix cereal and alcohol together.
Cereal and alcohol? Talk about specific.
Mm-hmm. 'Tis a sign a chemical reaction was at play.
Wait, you recognize the smell?
Chemical reactions can produce some pretty pungent odors. Usually something to the tune of alcohol mixed with cereal, or fruits, or eggs. I noticed the smell going into the investigation, but it had completely slipped my mind until now.
Could it be a chemical reaction was caused by the taser?
The gun never touched the water. There's no reason for it to be the source of the smell.
What about the generator?
Considering the state of it, that generator would smell more burnt than anything else.
If the chemical reaction can't be explained by what we already know, like the generator or the taser gun, we need to consider the possibility that the explanation is the one piece of evidence still evading us, the shrapnel.
Can someone translate this into less complicated talk?
It was just a long-winded way of saying he's using process of elimination.
I know it sounds like a stretch, but if you follow this line of reasoning, a lot more questions start getting answered. Think about it. If the smell and shrapnel are linked, then whatever object the shrapnel belongs to must contain chemicals.
So we're looking for a metal object, which is also packed with chemicals?
Surely something like that would be kept inside the pharmacy.
Looking at my notes... When we originally visited the pharmacy, I recorded everything I saw. A bright red metal object would have definitely caught my eye, but I don't see one written here.
I got lots of metallic objects in the dorm room, but nothing chemical. Just big old slabs of metal.
Big old slabs of metal. Why does that sound so familiar? Hold on, that's right. What Ingrid said just now is similar to what she said the night everyone began bunking together. I guess this would explain my room too. It's there with all sorts of fancy tools and metals. At the time, people were talking about their dorm rooms being themed around their talents. Could the shrapnel actually be the remnants of the unique device that guy boasts about having in his room? That is not a car battery. The only way to know for sure is to put you on the spot. It is not a car battery. Where is he? He's this. Oh, it shows. It does not. For a second I thought that it was saying, "Hey, this way." Nope, that's just me.
It has to be you.
Jeff,
He would not be smart enough to set this up.
What's up?
can you tell me what's inside your dorm room?
Like, a full-on list?
Whatever works.
Sure thing. I got a pretty gnarly collection of parts and accessories. Blind spot mirrors, lithium batteries, wheels, spare brakes, you name it. Oh, I even have the legendary mantle from the 1984's Grand Prix winning speedster.
That's what I was hoping to hear.
Cool. So, why'd you want to know? Unless... Wait, I'm not being suspected, am I? No, don't try to roll me into this, bro. I've got nothing to do with the murder.
I know you don't. You have an alibi. The only reason I ask is because that mysterious red shrapnel may be the remnants of one of your lithium batteries.
How big are those batteries?
I see. A lithium battery might explain the smell in the air.
And lithium, that's an explosive substance. If it made contact with water, gosh, you'd be left with a mess and a half.
Wouldn't someone have heard an explosion, though?
We did.
I did.
Really?
During the tournament, right before we lost power.
Oi, that's right. That was a burn.
Wait! I remember hearing it too!
I initially assumed the generator made the noise somehow. But if Jet's car batteries contain an explosive substance...
Hey, Jet, were your batteries bright red at all?
Maybe?
You don't know for sure?
I never took the batteries out of their packaging. The packaging isn't red, I can tell you that, but the actual batteries? Yeah, I got nothing.
So it can't be proven beyond a reasonable doubt?
Pretty much.
Well, what's the reaction time of a lithium battery?
The reaction time?
When a lithium battery hits the water, how long does it take to combust? I think, once we know that, we can decide whether or not the battery is relevant to the case.
A lithium battery would be an almost instantaneous reaction, I'm pretty sure.
Lithium isn't a metal I've worked with, but it got beat into my head never to mix it with substances it doesn't like. All that electricity, the battery would have let out when it hit the water. It must have went straight into poor Wolfie.
There's warning labels on the battery for a reason.
Okay. If the reaction is instantaneous, then the battery would have entered the water only seconds before the generator exploded. That's really weird.
say?
According to Diana's testimony, when the explosion happened, she was still holding the taser gun. In which case, who threw the battery into the water?
I know what happened.
Huh. Good point.
Or at least I think I know what happened.
We can rule out Wolfgang, since the Blackens can only be a student who kills another student. And Diana.
It was only Diana and Wolfgang in the boiler room. So unless Diana herself was the one to throw the battery, then the battery can't play a part in the murder.
Well, Miss Matthews, you would probably be able to figure this out with your dumbass ability. I won't settle for a culprit just yet. Some metal extension cord.
The battery is related to the case. Only Diana could have thrown it in the water.
But my arm had been cut. Lifting a battery would hurt too much.
Extension cord
batteries are pretty lightweight, though.
The battery clearly.
There.
No, that's wrong.
First try. I refuse to accept any other answer. It's first try.
No. The battery might actually have fallen from the generator.
What makes you say that?
The shrapnel's position in front of the generator suggests there's a correlation between the two. However, it's unlikely Diana threw the battery at the generator. Not only is the boiler room difficult to see in, the generator is positioned far enough from the concrete platform that Diana, with her wounded arm, will need to stand on the platform's edge to make the shot, which would obviously put her in danger of being attacked by Wolfgang again.
Yeah. Wolfgang was really close.
She also would have had
He
to
could
think
reach
to
over to me if he
bring
wanted.
the weapon with her.
If the battery hadn't been thrown, the only other possibility is that it fell down into the water. And considering the layout of the boiler room, what else could the battery fall off of? Except the generator.
Are you saying the battery was sitting on top of the generator?
Not on top, but maybe in it, I guess? On some of the wires that were all burned. Suspended over it. Vented?
I got it.
Alright, it just went through an entire... Honestly, I like that more.
Suspended over the generator.
Suspended over.
If the battery was suspended by something, then the presence of that item starts to make more sense. Yes. The extension cord.
This is it.
The killer could have tied the extension cord around the battery and slung the battery over the generator. If the cord and battery were tied together at the time of the generator's explosion, it would explain why half of the cord had been burned away.
The more you explain it, the more unbelievable it sounds.
What if that's the point? Maybe the killer chose a crazy method because no one would believe it.
I don't see how weaving a cord into the mix is any more beneficial than weaving it out. If anything, the cord adds extra weight.
Which would be especially inconvenient for Diana, because her arm was bleeding.
Right. It wouldn't benefit Diana to hold the cord. So, what if she didn't? Something else may have been supporting the cord instead.
Something like... I don't know, the vents, maybe? No, that wouldn't work. He's holding it, a third person. A third person or an object.
Like Diana.
That is a second person or a third person. Alright. An object, I guess.
I got it.
Throughout this trial, we've
It's a
assumed the
first
killer
person.
held the battery in some form or another. If the battery was on its own, the killer tossed it in. If the battery was wrapped with a cord, The killer held the other end of the cord. But are you saying there's something else can hold the battery? Can something else also hold the cord?
Ugh, my head's starting to spin.
Are you talking about something which could keep the cord in place?
Something to keep the cord in place. I'm imagining the cord and the battery is tied around in front of the generator, same spot as shrapnel at the surface. Get that. And we have the vent. Sure, why not?
This is it.
The killer tied the cord to the vent.
What? Vent?
The one above the generator. It connects the boiler room and the dining hall.
Oh, we have like a singular suspect at this point, and wrap it up kind of situation.
Into the boiler room. That's where the vent is. The vent itself is set a bit far back into the wall, so you probably assumed the spot was a small window or something.
If the boiler room and the dining hall are separated by one vent, does this make the wallpaper thin, or...?
There's two vents. The boiler room vent and the dining hall vent. Both are connected via a small ventilation shaft. I was able to get a close look at the boiler room vent after Ava and I woke up, which is why I know these details.
How close is close for someone under 6 foot?
Ava helped me reach the vent.
By?
Letting me sit on her shoulders.
You admit that way faster than basically anything else. Don't rub it in.
Anyway, if the killer tied one end of the cord to the vent and the other end around the battery, they could suspend the battery over the generator.
Something like that would result in an explosion.
What do you mean?
You say the killer tied one end of the cord to the vent and the other end to the battery. However, indoor extension cords are much longer than regular cords. They can be upwards of 9 or more meters in length, as opposed to the average cord's 2 meters. 9 meters is significantly longer than the distance between the vent and the boiler room floor. If the killer wanted to tie the battery to the cord's other end, they would be tying it to something which is already submerged in water.
I see. It is an impossible setup.
Not necessarily. I mean, it was cut, so probably cut. Killer can have greatly reduced the length of the cord by something. Cutting the cord.
Cut the cord using what exactly?
Something? I don't know.
Scissors? That's what anyone would use, right?
That go through it? I don't think that would
where
go through it.
exactly did these scissors...
Yeah, I get it. Wrong answer.
Not even pliers?
I didn't see pliers either.
You believe...
Alright, it's the wrong answer. I get it. Well, it would stop him from moving, I guess? But that wouldn't really...
I got it.
The extension cord is pretty thin and flimsy.
That's what that looks?
If the killer wanted the battery to be secure, they need to wrap a lot of cord around it. Probably to the point there wouldn't be much spare cord remaining.
Is that what the batteries look like?
Which is a good thing, because this spare cord is what the battery will be suspended by. So long as the spare cord isn't too long, the battery will sit safely above the water.
So much effort.
Agreed. How do you even submerge the battery into the water under those circumstances?
How? Simple. By adjusting the cord's position. All the killer would need to do is utilize a certain aspect of the boiler room. There's a few different things we could talk about. Are we talking about the vent again? talking about this. I don't have a ton of time, so we'll just go process elimination.
Like I mentioned earlier, I gave the vent a close look after originally waking up in the boiler room. Part of my inspection included opening the vent to get a better look at the other side.
The vent can be opened?
Not all the way, but far enough for the vent to cause a domino effect if then closed. In our case, the domino effect involving the extension cord tied to it. If we assume the vent must be open for the battery to remain a safe distance above the water, we end up with a pulley system. To prevent the battery from entering the water, the vent is literally pulling the entire cord backwards. Ergo, it's not just the killer's own measurements keeping the battery in place, but the vent itself. Having opened one of these vents before, I can tell you how tough they are to move.
Wrapping my fingers around the grate directly in front of me, pull as hard as I could.
A lightweight battery definitely isn't heavy enough to pull one shut. It takes an actual person to close one. Which is great for the killer, because it means they get to maintain full control over when the battery enters the water.
Pulleys are the best simple machine.
If they close the vent, the cord should slide forward and submerge the battery into the water. When that happens, the boiler room water becomes electrified by the battery's components, which in turn causes electricity to pass directly into the body of Wolfgang, who is standing in the water.
Exactly which vent is the cord being tied to?
The boiler room vent.
Funny. Earlier, you said there's a small vent shaft connecting the boiler room vent to the dining hall vent. Assuming the killer is operating this trap from outside the boiler room, since we know there were only ever 2 people in that room, how would they even be able to reach the boiler room vent? Like you said, there's a separate vent in front of it.
Huh? She has a point. I've been assuming the cord is tied to the boiler room vents. But I failed to consider the ventilation shaft. It becomes considerably harder to reach the boiler room vents. You have to reach down the shaft first. Not just that, I would just to see if the boiler room vents can open inwards. I only got it to open outwards. By that logic, a vent on the opposite side of the shaft. Honestly, I can't say anything about names.
The killer never tied the cord to the boiler room vent. They tied the cord to the dining hall vent.
That just creates the same problem as before, but reversed. Instead of the dining hall vent making it hard to close the boiler room vent, it's the boiler room vent making it hard to reach the dining hall vent.
While the vents may seem like an obstruction, especially since they can't be opened all the way, there's a very easy workaround. All the killer needs to do is fit the extension cord between the grates of the boiler room vent.
Oh yeah, the grates. You mentioned something about them earlier.
Right. When you described opening the boiler room vent.
Yeah, I've read that already.
If you can fit your fingers between the grates, there's no damn way you can't fit a cord.
Exactly. After which, you could slide the cord through the ventilation shaft and out the opposite end, for the killer to then go and tie to the...
Alright. Who's going to interrupt?
Actually...
Of course you would say, actually.
Hello?
What is it now?
There's something I still don't understand about your theory. It's to do with the logistics of the cord.
The logistics?
Its size.
We're back to discussing this again? Never mind. I'll find a way to combat his arguments. Just like I've done countless times already.
I understand the boiler room vent can be opened. Maybe not all the way, but enough to fit an extension cord through. What's bothering me, however, is that the boiler room vent was closed during the investigation, which means it must have been closed during the murder.
Alright, I'm gonna have to use
I don't see
the
a
mouse
problem
too
here.
in a second.
The killer doesn't even need to open that vent, because they could simply slide the cord between the grates.
Do you think
Indoor
controller
extension
and
cords
mouse
may
will
be
work at the
thin,
same time?
but the plugs on either side of them aren't. How can the killer fit both those plugs between the gaps in the vent grate? Either the boiler room vent was never involved, or it was open at some point and someone else closed it. That is my issue.
Alright. Do this to hold. And then we're going to switch over to mouse.
Indoor extension cords may be thin, but the plugs on either side of them aren't.
We want to plug
How can the
one.
killer fit both those plugs between the gaps in the vent grate? Either the boiler room vent was never involved, or it was open at some point and someone else closed it. That is my issue.
That makes sense if we went for that one fatal flaw.
Indoor extension cords may be thin, but the plugs on either side of them aren't. How can the killer fit both those plugs between the gaps in the vent grate? Either the boiler room vent was never involved, or it was open at some point and someone else closed it. That is my issue.
Isn't really the best answer for this. Sense. Let me go back over
Indoor
here.
extension cords may
Look
be
at
thin.
this. Try and retrieve. What's that happening? I want it to be cord. No internal plug, only afraid to plug. Alright, so looks like this would work. So we want extension cord.
But the plugs on either side of them aren't.
Oh, I
How
don't
can
know
the
what plug
killer
it is.
fit both those plugs between the gaps in
Alright,
the
hang
vent
on.
grate?
Alright, we have to
Either
switch
the
back to
boiler room
controller.
vent was never involved, or it was open at some point and someone else closed it.
We're about to
That
have a
is
duel, I think.
my issue.
Yep, duel time. Can't lose to this nerd.
Indoor extension cords may be thin,
Alright, so let's do.
but the plugs on either side of them aren't.
Alright.
Plugs in the vent grate. The boiler room vent was never involved at some point, and so my issue.
Alright. I know what I need, it just cut way too early. Or it cut really late. I know what I'm saying.
Indoor extension cords may be
Get rid of
thin,
that.
but the plugs on either side
Let me
of
cut
them
that.
aren't.
Alright. I know what I'm doing. That was first try. Nobody can prove otherwise.
If you insert the cord through the boiler room vent first, it's possible to fit the cord through. You just need to start with the internal plug. The cords in storage closet D have a slim internal end. This can easily be slid through the gaps in the vent. Once the killer ties the cord around the dining hall vent, presumably with a knot, the cord won't be at risk of sliding back out either.
I see. When put like that, whether or not the boiler room vent was closed isn't really relevant.
How'd you figure all this out from some shrapnel and an extension cord? This is crazy.
At the same time, what he's describing sounds plausible.
Since the battery was suspended over the generator, it's no surprise the machine ended up the way it did. Fortunately for Diana, she was safe by virtue of remaining on the platform. I imagine that was also the killer's intention.
The killer kept her on the platform?
Maybe it's someone
They must have
alive.
known they were injecting Wolfgang with a hallucinogenic. So, it's possible they hoped his behavior would scare Diana off from entering the water. Although, even if Diana did die, the moment people realized only she and Wolfgang entered the boiler room, they probably call the whole thing a murder gone wrong.
Well, all of this certainly changes things.
Huh?
If the killer is someone who needed access to the vent, and needed to be operating from the dining hall, then everyone who attended the tournament is a suspect.
What?
No way!
One of the tournament attendees is the killer? Damn it! How did I not realize this sooner? The fact the killer could even have access to the vent means they must have been in the dining hall at the time of Wolfgang's murder.
So we can reduce it down to 8 people. Damon, Kai, Grace, Eva, Cassidy, Jet, Mark, and John.
It was probably Cassidy. She set the whole thing up.
Hey, I was only trying to improve the mood.
It wasn't me. I was playing a game with Damon when the lights went out.
I had to play music.
Me too.
Huh?
You never touched my equipment.
I meant I was watching Kai and Damon play.
No, you weren't.
I was spectating as well.
Me too.
Me 3! And Cass 2, I think? I was too focused on the game to remember who was or wasn't there.
If everyone's telling the truth, then all 8 of y'all were crowded round the same spot?
Near the right wall where the TV was set up. It's also the furthest wall from the vent.
Seems like someone is lying again.
The tournament participant who flipped the vents. I could deduce who that person is by determining everyone's positions directly before the blackout. The problem is, I myself have been totally preoccupied with the game. I never got a good look at the actual people around me. Never got a good look. Wait, is that it? While I never got a good look at the others, I can still deduce their general positions if they were near me, from whether or not I hear them. Think, Dan, think. Who and what did I hear back then? It was you. The only person I never heard was you. Oh, I don't know which side anyone is on. Come on. Alright, I did it the right way. I'll learn who's where eventually.
The killer is Ava.
Huh?
Ava's the only one whose position I can't account for. Mark was mixing a track at the time Kai and I were playing a game, so I know he must have been stationed at his pad. And everyone else? I remember hearing their voices over the sound of the game. Everyone except Ava. In fact, last I saw her, she was standing in the corner of the room with the vent.
So Ava flipped the vent?
Oh man! And the reason no one heard it is because the music was too loud!
Don't blame me. I was just doing what I was told.
No one's blaming you. We're all in on Eva.
Care to contribute anything, Eva?
Oh, that has to feel like pure betrayal to Diana.
I didn't flip the vent.
Yeah, we're not believing that.
Well, Damon says you did.
Damon says a lot of things.
While you aren't technically wrong, I don't think that counts as an argument.
It
His
really
theory is
doesn't.
full of plot holes. He just refuses to point them out.
Then point them out.
What plot holes?
The cord.
What about it?
What?
In retrospect, you were so quick to accuse me that you overlooked a huge problem with the cord. If I'm the killer, how did I dispose of it?
Melting?
Trick question. You left the cord tied to the vent.
You're not helping.
What then? It unraveled by itself and fell into the water?
Yeah, you got me there.
How did Eva get rid of the cord? And sure, it's possible. She knew to untie it at the right time. When did she untie it? Before the blackout?
You untied the cord.
Damn it, that's wrong. During it?
I got it.
Alright.
To dispose of the cord, you just untied it during the blackout.
She untied the knot during a blackout?
Being the one who set up the trap, Ava could have easily practiced untying the knot in advance. Or she just made it a really simple knot.
And knot isn't even...
Either way,
Well, I mean, if it's going
it wouldn't be
forward.
any more difficult than untying your shoelaces with your eyes closed.
If Ava untied the cord, did it also fall into the water?
Diana's testimony says as much.
It does?
During your confrontation with Wolfgang, you recounted hearing certain sounds.
I'm not like you. I'll never be like you. I won't give up till the world knows. I won't give up until I'm known as... Kaboom. This one lasts so long. All of a sudden everything turned white. Everything in front of me except Wolfgang. For those few seconds he became pitch black. And then so did everything else. Plop.
The first sound was obviously the battery exploding. And the second, when you first recounted the story, you said it was the sound of the knife hitting the water. But why would a thin knife make such a big splash?
Then, do you think...
What really caused that sound was probably the extension cord falling into the water.
When you say it that way, it does seem likelier.
I should have known. He lied about her talents and tried to lie about the Terzi trinkets. I should have known. I should have known only Eva fucking Sadaka would kill Wolfgang!
You're right that Eva's lied to us several times already.
But she's just a mathlete. How did someone like her come up with something this complicated?
By using math.
Her talent would give her the upper hand in all that measurement nonsense.
Even so, the sheer volume of items Eva had to steal. She's been under heavy suspicion these past few days. How did she sneak into Jet and Desmond's rooms without being noticed?
It's impossible. Wolfgang even got mad at me for being late to the dining hall by a few minutes. I've been watched the entire time I've been here. There's no way Jet wouldn't have noticed me taking his battery.
Right on. No one steals from me.
You didn't even look.
They already did.
And anyway, how could I enter the core through the boiler room vent when I can't even reach the top of the generator? If anything, you should be suspicious of the taller students.
I mean, you can push it through the side that's, like, connected to the dining room. That's on the floor, isn't it? Eva did, in fact, have a way to reach the vents. All she had to use... the railing? Is that what we're looking for?
I'm not tall enough to reach...
Okay, that's not the railing, I guess. Pipes?
Eva grabbed one of the boxes on the concrete platform.
That with melts.
Flexing your map.
I'm saying Damon would have, but he never knew.
Couldn't you
Then the underside...
This I can confirm.
Alright. Because if I click here...
This is it.
Of course, I just clicked in the wrong spot. What was back in
Eva, to reach the top of the generator, you simply stood on one of the boxes in the boiler room. There's already a huge pile of them near the generator itself. You could easily push one up against the machine.
Ah. She would have known about those boxes in advance, too. Since she explored the boiler room with you ahead of time.
Okay, I could have used the boxes to reach the top of the generator. And I could have fit the cord through both vents if I inserted the right plug. I can do both of those things without attracting suspicion. What I can't do without attracting suspicion is opening the vent.
Which vent are we talking about?
The dining hall one. Based on what Damon's saying, it needs to be opened for the killer's trap to work. But opening it during the tournament is asking to be caught, and opening it before the tournament is useless because Jet, Cassidy, and Mark would see it while setting up.
Oh. Oh yeah, you're right.
I mean, two of them are kind of idiots, and the third one doesn't want to be there, so...
Now that Eva mentions it, I'm pretty sure the vent was closed during setup.
The vent was closed?
See, there's no way I can execute this trap without being caught. It's a stupid trap anyway. All the cord and vent stuff is too complicated. There's a billion ways it could go wrong. Damon's just making stuff up. He doesn't know what he's talking about.
What the? That's bullshit.
Can it, you four-eyed troll! Can't talk your way out of this one!
Shit.
The only person who would be sick-minded enough to kill Wolfgang is you, and only you! Don't you fucking try and tell me otherwise!
We're definitely past the point of being able to say that we have the
just because I sat near a vent.
The blackmail.
Seems to be pretty good evidence to me.
Wolfgang exposed you for the snake you are, and you despised him because of it. You have a motive.
Perhaps our understanding of the mechanism is wrong? Maybe it wasn't closing the vent that triggered it, but something else?
Do you have any evidence to prove that?
Even if this trap was used, you can't guarantee it operated the way Damon described.
How so?
Well, the battery could have been tied to the extension cord with a special knot which can untie by itself after a bit of time passes.
Bloody room door now.
There's even less evidence for that.
Evidence.
Closing the
No
door.
one here cares about evidence. I just happened to be at the game tournament.
I don't remember anything that happened, and then I'm just going through and it's like, da, da. Oh wait, this happened.
No. It's no coincidence you were at the game tournament. In fact, it's not even a coincidence the tournament took place during the murder.
What do you mean?
It was impossible for me to notice this earlier, but the killer timed the tournament so he'd grant them an alibi for the murder.
Whoa, whoa, whoa! Are you accusing me of murder again?
Happy
I
New
thought
Year.
you said Ava was the culprit.
The detective isn't supposed to switch suspects in the last stretch like this. We're totally throwing the audience for a loop, and not in a good way.
Except neither of you played a role in determining what time the tournament would be held. The only person to determine that was Ava.
Imagine, like, not thinking this through. Who am I kidding? I would get caught in like 5 minutes if I tried to kill someone. Brain is most active and ready to absorb information around that time. I think it's effective. This effect could help our video game skills. 9 a.m. tournament, huh? Wouldn't be the first time. Screw it. Let's do 9 a.m. 1 hour after morning announcements.
Ava knew she would be in the dining hall tomorrow, so when Cassidy announced the tournament, she realized it was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to create an alibi for herself.
That's insane. How could she have come up with something like that on the spot?
It wasn't just for an alibi either. Since Ava knew about the tournament, she could time the setup of her trap accordingly.
So to answer your question of why neither Cassidy, Jet, nor Mark noticed her open the vent, when I think back on what Cassidy told me earlier today, before the tournament began, I can discern exactly when Ava opened the vent. Stacking furniture. Where's it? Furniture?
I got it.
Yeah.
Cassidy, you told me Ava approached you yesterday and asked to help set up the tournament. What exactly did she say?
When did I tell you this again?
Before the tournament?
Oh, now I remember. Yeah, Eva wanted to see what sort of equipment the tournament needed. After I showed her Mark's stuff and told her we were redecorating the dining hall, she offered to help.
Back when this conversation happened, you still hadn't decided what time you were going to start redecorating, right?
Yeah, it's kind of embarrassing. Eva really helped me out, though. She said she would stack the dining hall furniture we weren't going to use later that night. Afterwards, we could focus purely on arranging the technical stuff in the morning.
All right. Then tell me what happened last night.
Jet, Mark, Eva, and I came to the dining hall at around 8:40 p.m. probably. We stacked the table and the dining chairs against the left wall, and the sofas we moved to the middle of the room, maybe a little more to the right. Then we all went back to our dorms. Well, I was kind of hungry, so I stayed back a few minutes before leaving.
Hold the phone! If those sofa chairs were moved to the middle of the room, why did I see one over in the corner this morning?
Because Eva pushed it there.
Eva, what?
Are we missing the suspicion?
Didn't want to take part in the tournament. Just watch it from the side. That's what she told me. I never thought it was weird or anything. Some people just like sticking to the walls of rooms, you know?
We're talking about the sofa in the upper left corner, aye? The one next to the coffee table.
Yes, sir, Eva!
Yo, when the power went out, I'm pretty sure Damon ran over to that corner to look through... Yeah, a vent!
Did she move the chair there so it would be easier to reach the vent later?
Why would I when Cassidy just said the vent was closed during setup?
Because you were covering for yourself in advance.
Huh?
The vent may not have been open at the time, but I'm willing to bet that's because you were still creating your trap.
In what way?
Let's say Ava took a detour for the boiler room first, and slid the internal plug through both vents. After going upstairs and helping rearrange the dining hall furniture, during which she moves a sofa chair so it obscures the vent, she heads outside and hides until everyone else goes to bed. Then, she walks back in and opens the vent.
So Eva took complete advantage of them?
Not my fault those two are so trusting.
Oh, you think a big guy like me was gonna be afraid of some athlete? No way!
I mean, she did lie about a lot of important things. Her talent being one of them.
She also cried and fled the scene after we found out, no?
I just thought it was cool. She wanted to help me out.
Hey, can we backtrack a little? Like, to before all this Ava talk?
Why? What happened?
It's to do with the chair's position.
The chair?
You guys keep saying it was in front of the vent, but Damon stood in front of the vent during the blackout. If the chair was in the position you all say it was, it should have blocked him from crouching in front of the vent.
Ava probably just moved it during the blackout.
Eh?
I mean, that kind of chair isn't exactly that heavy.
It was positioned with its back to the left wall. However, when I ran over to the vent, the chair was suddenly pushed up against the northern wall, out of the vent's range. Ava must have shifted the chair while everyone was initially panicking from the blackout. I'm guessing she hoped people would misremember its position and think it was always along the northern wall.
Oh, man! So I totally fell for it?
I also remember seeing a speaker in that corner.
Yeah, about that. This morning, Jet, Mark, and I arrived at the dining hall a little after 8 a.m., then Eva came a few minutes later. She helped us put together Mark's equipment, which was stationed in the lower right corner of the room. And then she volunteered to place speakers around the room while Jet and I set up the TV next to the fireplace.
Moving a speaker near the vent. Did Eva do that to drown out Diana and Wolfgang's scuffle?
Yeah, and in turn exacerbate the effects of the other speakers. There were almost a dozen spread throughout the dining hall, some even sandwiched into corners they didn't need to be. Eva probably placed them that way to cover as much ground as possible.
Still. Eva entered the dining hall at 8:10 a.m., right? So wouldn't it be impossible for her to knock out Lawyer Man at 8:15 a.m.?
According to Ava, she arrived around 8:10 a.m., but it's possible she actually arrived much later. Since there's no clock in the dining hall, he just couldn't have known. In fact, that might be why Ava seemed so eager to arrange Mark's equipment in the morning. Upon realizing it had a clock, she wanted to ensure it would only be powered on after she arrived.
It seems the setup of this trap occurred across 3 phases. Phase 1 took place in the boiler room and involved tying a lithium battery to an extension cord. The cord was then slid through the grates of the closed boiler room vent, presumably until it almost poked out at the other end of the ventilation shaft. Phase 2, by contrast, was carried out in the dining hall. The aforementioned cord was tied around the dining hall vent, which was then left open. This must have happened after Cassidy, Mark, and Jet were already done redecorating. For the third and final phase, the battery was carefully suspended over the generator. All these steps combined created a pulley system, which could only be triggered by closing the dining hall vent. Is there anything I'm missing?
How I closed the vent.
Huh?
No one has explained how I closed the dining hall vent. Obviously, I didn't do it during the blackout. According to Damon, the blackout can only happen after the vent is closed. So, I must have stood up, gone behind the chair, and closed the vent during the tournament. That's stupid. Someone is definitely going to notice that sort of conspicuous movement. It doesn't matter if that someone is on the opposite side of the room. They're going to notice.
How did we overlook such an obvious discrepancy?
I mean, for one, everyone was busy. It was right, standing up would look really suspicious. Which is exactly why she used that to circumvent the problem. The chair leg thing?
This is it.
The footrest. That's what it's called.
The location of your chair bypasses this problem entirely. To use a vent, all you need to do is set the chair to recline and reach behind you.
Set the chair to recline?
All the dining hall chairs have the ability to recline. Some were already set to that position at the start of the tournament, including Ava's. With her chair reclined, Ava can easily reach down and close the vent without shifting from her position. It's not perfectly inconspicuous, but it's subtle enough to not catch most people's attention, especially those focused on watching a video game competition. Well, am I wrong?
This isn't funny. Just because I was sitting in front of the vent doesn't mean I was the one who triggered the mechanism.
I mean, it's kind of
Sneak up
funny when
behind
there's
you without drawing
nobody
attention,
else.
especially when all the lights were still on.
That's just dumb. Where I was sitting shouldn't make me a murderer.
Even so, with everything we've spoken about...
Everything? Did you already forget what was said earlier? Just look at all the items I would need to set up this murder. The battery, the extension cord, the rolling pin, the taser, the syringe, and the supposed drug used with it. How could I have collected all of those things? Wolfgang and everyone else hated me because I lied about my talent. They were on their guard whenever I was around. You think Jet and Desmond would just let me walk into their rooms and take their stuff?
That's true.
Jet
We
seems
still
dumb enough
haven't
to not
explained
even
how she
notice.
robbed 2 people's rooms without being caught.
Unless
Desmond
you can
didn't
prove
know
I
the
had chance
gun
to
was
get
even
all
there.
this stuff, you can't make me out to be the killer.
God, I know what this is gonna be.
I'll show proof. Only you could obtain the items necessary for this murder.
I know what this is about to be. Oh wait, it isn't. If I had Desmond's blackmail.
I got it.
I'm so glad it wasn't what I thought it was.
We were well aware of the existence of those items. For starters, everyone heard about Jet's battery. It was common knowledge due to his boasting.
Wait, so it's all my fault? Ouch.
Since the doors aren't locked, I could have easily snuck in and grabbed the battery while no one was inside. The battery is lightweight too, so you wouldn't have trouble carrying it. For the rest of your plan, the syringe and drugs are both readily available in the pharmacy. And as for the taser, you may not have known about its existence right away, but you still had every incentive to search Desmond's room, because you received his blackmail.
Eva? You knew my blackmail this whole time and never said anything?
So what?
Huh?
So what if I knew?
I have a
I
feeling
wasn't
we're
the
about to
only
be
one. Damon knew your blackmail as well.
we're about to be thrown
Oh,
under the
yeah.
bus.
You read it out loud to everyone earlier, didn't you?
Damon knew almost everything I did. He knew where the items used in this murder were stored. He knew the layout of the boiler room and the storage closets. He knew all sorts of things. The only thing he didn't know is the one thing more important than any piece of physical evidence.
What the hell are you talking about?
See, you still don't know. You still don't know that we never saw eye to eye.
Huh?
Eye to eye on the not killing each other stuff?
On Wolfgang.
Eh?
Damon saw the way Wolfgang scolded me and treated me like a bad guy, and he thought I hated him the same way he did. But unlike Damon, I never wanted Wolfgang to die.
What the?
Okay, Damon didn't, I don't think, want him to die. I did. That's completely different.
Not a first for this trial.
If you thought you saw the worst of Damon after the dummy trial, you underestimate just how low he can stoop. I practically risked my life pretending to be his ally. But in return, he let me see the extent of his deceitfulness, which is why I can tell everyone that Damon has Wolfgang's blackmail.
Oh, she threw us under the bus.
Oh, gosh.
But we have an alibi, that's the thing. Ava, you...
Any reason you didn't tell us this earlier?
Well, I didn't think it was incriminating at first.
Not even when he refused to come forward about it?
That was weird, but I didn't want to make accusations at the time because it could have just been his ego talking. Only after watching him reject the taser gun over this dumb mechanism he made up did I realize I had potential evidence on my hands.
Damon, do you have your blackmail on you? Don't worry about reading it out loud or anything. Just show the image. That's all you gotta do.
Just do it already. Did Eva really never trust me? Why then did she disclose so much to me? Why did she tell me so she could throw your ass under the bus? It's because I trust you. Yeah, no one believes that shit anymore. No, this can't be at the forefront of my mind right now. I'm on the cusp of bringing this case to a close. What Ava thinks about me shouldn't matter. What she thinks about me. Set my side back at the beginning, remember? We were the only two people who refused to listen to the lawyer. And you helped solve the mystery behind the whole case. No one thanks you, though. I'm really sorry about how things turned out. The other students wouldn't have treated you fairly if it wasn't for me. Damn it. Damn it! This entire time I've been judging the others for how trusting they are, not even realizing. Just blindly following the words of a stranger. And now, everyone here. Gonna hold this blackmail crap against me. Even more if I'd just come forward earlier. Even so, what choice do I have? No one will let the discussion continue unless I tell the truth.
Fine. I'll show it. But only the picture, as requested.
Those words, I retrieved the envelope from my pocket. Pulled out the photo.
He's married.
Ingrid, Wolfgang doesn't have blue eyes.
So, who is this then? His parents?
I mean, why else would the guy look like him?
Given the year this photo was taken, these two people must be his parents. Look at what's printed at the bottom. April 17th, 2001. We know how old Wolfgang is because of the student reports. In 2001, he wasn't even born yet.
But why his parents? Are they being held against their will?
You can't leave us hanging, Damo! You gotta read out what it says!
Do not read it. That's the only way you can
That's
at
not
least
what was
save
asked
a
of
bit.
me.
Or save
Maybe
face
if
of
I
it.
had to, I don't think someone who can't explain himself should have his secrets revealed to everyone.
Some things are better left unsaid.
For the record, I know what Wolfgang's blackmail says, but it didn't change my outlook on him. I don't think it's possible for anyone to hate someone like Wolfgang. He was always brave in the face of sheer adversity, and encouraged everyone else to act likewise. Wolfgang challenged me to be a better person. Wolfgang challenged all of us to be better people. And maybe Ava simply couldn't rise to his challenge.
Don't listen to him. He's trying to divert everyone from the truth.
What, like you've been doing every
Even
single
though
time you
Wolfgang and I
just
didn't
kind of...
always see eye to eye, my respect for him and his talent never wavered. Why would someone like me harm him? Me, who's been leading this trial much the same way he led the one before. I may have questioned the idea no one here would kill, but that doesn't make me someone who wants to see bloodshed.
He does. He does want bloodshed. We have all the proof he's a cold-blooded killer. Wolfgang's blackmail, which he lied about having.
But wasn't Damon playing?
Nothing he says should be trusted. Nothing he says about me or anything else.
It is odd that he placed faith in a man who does not have faith in us. So much so, these discussions are mostly led by his own conjecture.
Damon isn't the killer, though. Why would he try to mislead anyone? Like, he and I were playing a game when the murder happened, and multiple people can vouch for us.
Not to mention, the things he's been saying make a lot of sense.
Truth has no personal alliance. That's why.
Even if he wasn't here, we'd arrive at the same conclusion anyway.
Depends who you mean by we.
Yeah.
Then, you all still think I'm the killer?
Someone needs to be voted by the end of this.
Don't just say it like that.
My ears!
How would I know? How would I know when to drop it?
Drop what?
The battery! Damon says the killer dropped the battery when Diana was already in the boiler room. But how would I know when Diana was in the boiler room? It's not as if I could listen out for her. The music speakers are too loud.
Because you had
And
the
dining hall
DS
has
clock.
No clocks, so it'd be impossible for me to know if it was 8:45 a.m.
Right. Only Mark's DJ pad had a clock.
And the DS.
Maybe Ava asked Mark for the time.
She never spoke to me.
We never spoke! I never even got up from my chair! Besides, how could I be sure Diana arrived on time anyway? If you can't explain how I knew when to drop the battery, then shut up and stop accusing me!
Even makes a decent point. How did she drop the battery in time? Did she just rely on chance? No, that doesn't seem likely. Her entire plan fails if the timing isn't right. Come on, think. My years of debate have taught me anything. I need to look at this from a different angle. Just take it from the top, assuming Eva is the killer. She knew because of her little... Would she be able to see from that angle?
I got it.
I guess so.
The only way the killer would have known when to spring their trap was by seeing Diana enter the room. Any uncertainty would ruin the plan, and the dining hall was too loud to hear anything over.
So, where did she watch Diana from? Only two possible places. Well, I'm assuming. Oh my god, this thing moves so fast. I know that's my fault.
Trying to look into the boiler.
Should have known. Camera.
This is it.
I can't believe that's actually the right answer. She was given
It's impossible to see
use of the
anything
camera.
from the vent, which means the only way anyone could see into the room was by using the school cameras.
Say what?
I don't understand how, but Ava must have used the camera.
Is she working with the kidnappers?
Are you kidding me? How the hell would I have access to the camera?
In order to actually see what was happening in the security cameras, who would even need access to? Naturally, it would have to be some sort of screen. The little DS thing! Alright. Wrong solution, right answer. A screen, huh? Thinking back on all the various clues we've discussed, I can't pinpoint anything which could provide an answer to that question. Feels like deja vu, doesn't it? And all other options are ruled out. And only turn to the one which still remains. The one thing we've yet to discuss. Ava, it's time to bring an end to what you've started. For better or for worse, this one will be your final lie. Oh, we're going to... Oh, hell. Literally, I don't... Alright, let's see how well this works with the controller when I have no clue what buttons I'm going to be using for this. Oh, what is this? Alright. Let's hope I can figure this out.
There's no proof I killed Wolfgang. Who cares about the camera? There's no proof I killed Wolfgang. It's Damon who's suspicious. This isn't fair. I didn't see any. This isn't fair. Why would I just wanted to help. I didn't see anything. Who cares about the camera? It's Damon who's suspicious. It's Damon who's suspicious. This isn't fair. It's Damon who's suspicious. I just wanted to help. Who cares about the camera? I didn't see anything. I didn't see anything. Who cares about the camera? This isn't fair. This isn't fair. Who cares about the camera? Why would I kill anyone? This isn't fair. It's Damon who's suspicious.
I don't even know if I'm doing damage because I have no clue what I'm doing.
Why would I kill anyone? This isn't fair. There's no proof I killed Wolfgang. It's Damon who's suspicious. Who cares about the camera? It's Damon who's suspicious. This isn't fair. I just wanted to help.
Am I even doing damage to her?
I told you so.
What am I doing? Let's just reboot this. Okay. I hope you're ready, chat. Alright. Oh my god. Oh my god. Let me fucking pause! There is no button to hit. Where is the button to hit? To pause. Please, a pause. Look at the birds. The birds are glitching out because it doesn't want to be here either. You know it's not fair? Being able to just spam attack us with no chance of a pause button or a save button.
I thought you trusted me. There's no proof I killed Wolfgang. I didn't see anything. Who cares about the camp? This isn't fair. There's no proof I killed Wolfgang. It's Damon who's suspicious. There's no proof I killed Wolfgang. There's no proof I killed Wolfgang. I just wanted to help. It's Damon who's suspicious. I just wanted to help.
Thanks for the follow. Oh god. I'm not gonna be able to get to this.
Why won't you believe me?
The last section.
Who cares about the camera?
Oh, we're starting with a ready one. Oh, let me just get up here, right in your face. Shoot you. Alright, we're gonna click onto here.
How can I access the security camera?
This person, okay. Alright.
We know the truth.
Oh, I don't want to do that again. Please let me save immediately. Please. Please give me. It's not letting me save. Do not crash. Please. Please do not crash. I will cry.
Which begs the question, how does the killer see inside?
Oh
They can't just get on their knees and peek through the vent. Everyone in the dining hall will notice. Besides, the vent probably offers very little in the way of an actual view of the room.
Exactly! It's impossible!
Yeah, drink some water.
Right. It's impossible. From this particular angle. If I switch perspectives, your entire argument comes completely undone.
What do you mean?
Ava assumes I'm taking only one factor into account. Her position at the time of Wolfgang's murder. Little does she know that in ruling out that factor, she's led me straight to another.
Don't make me do another one.
A certain item which could have granted her the ability to see inside the boiler room. An item that, like the chemical smell, only makes sense when all other options have been ruled out. The game console she brought with her to the tournament.
Ava had a game console?
She wanted to get in the spirit of the tournament without being directly involved, or so she claimed. But when every other option has been ruled out, what else can we look to but the one that's yet to be addressed?
Are you saying she saw inside the boiler room using the console?
So it played live footage of the room?
Sounds like a stretch.
If I'm wrong, Ava should be able to prove her innocence. Go on, Ava. Show us the console.
Huh?
I don't think she has the console on her yet.
She has to. She never had an opportunity to slink away and dispose of it.
Well, what about the blackout?
When the blackout first hit, people were disorientated for about a minute at most. Ava likely spent those 60 seconds undoing the cord and moving the chair. Between then and now, she's never been alone. The only exception was when she and I split up to investigate the dining hall and the dorms respectively. However, the laundry room, dining hall, and courtyard all had people in them, so I doubt she hid the console in any of those rooms.
And the janitor closet? That room has been locked for days now. She obviously couldn't hide the console there.
Which means it must still be on her person. Like I said earlier, if I'm wrong about the console, you can take it out right now and show everyone its contents.
What are you waiting for? Quit hiding the stupid thing and show it!
Yeah. Show it, Ava.
You're just trying to make me look bad.
Show it.
You don't know what you're talking about. You're just jealous of me.
Show us the
You're
console.
jealous of me and my talent. That's all you are. Jealous.
Hey, calm down.
Why not just pull out the console?
Yes! Show us the console and then you'll be done with this!
No!
Eh?
I don't have to show anyone anything.
Cool, let's just vote you then.
That's the most suspicious thing you could say.
It's not suspicious. I'm telling the truth.
That's obviously a lie.
Why go through the effort of mentioning Wolfgang's blackmail if you won't reveal this?
Now that I think back on it, Ava had been staring at her console the entire tournament. I thought it was weird, coming all the way over to the dining hall when she could have just stayed in her dorm.
Well, where did she obtain his console? We should discuss those details before continuing any more with these accusations.
Said she won it from Tozu's gotcha.
Seems natural you would stock that machine with dangerous items. With this being a killing game and all.
Between 14 impossible culprits and one possible killer, there's no need to sort out the facts further. Ava, you're the only one we can vote for.
That's such twisted logic. You're going to vote for me without being completely sure I'm even guilty?
There's no need to be completely sure, if no one else can be suspected.
In case anyone still doubts Ava is the killer, I'll go through the case one last time.
Oh no, we're doing this.
And once all the pieces are laid out for everyone to see, I'll prove she's the killer, once and for all. This case was directly incited by the motive Tozu introduced, in which everyone here received another person's blackmail. Amidst the chaos that spawned, the killer saw an opportunity to commit a murder. They sent letters to two people, Wolfgang Akide, who they planned to kill, and Diana Venecia, who they planned to frame. Wolfgang and Diana were asked to meet in the boiler room in 2 days' time. Wolfgang's letter told him to arrive at 8:15 a.m., while Diana's told her to arrive at 8:45 a.m.
The messages threatened to expose our blackmail, so we had no choice but to follow their instructions.
At this point, the killer probably knew the way they were going to kill Wolfgang. Hence, how they reacted to this next piece of information. The following morning, it was revealed that Cassidy and Jeff were going to hold a game tournament.
The point was for people to spend time together and not think murdery thoughts. But little did we know, a would-be killer was lurking nearby. And how? The killer emboldened their own plans and made it so the tournament would happen at 9 a.m.
Did you disagree with yourself?
Both Wolfgang and Diana turned down the offer, which must have been music to the killer's ears, since it confirmed their plan was working. The killer took this as a sign to commence the next phase of their plan. Later that evening, they went downstairs to the boiler room and began preparing the murder weapon.
Though it might be more accurate to call it a murder mechanism. The killer wrapped an extension cord as tightly as they could around a car battery, which had been stolen from Jet's room. I imagine the battery must have been sitting on top of the generator. Wouldn't want to risk an explosion while bringing lithium too close to the water.
The killer avoided opening the boiler room vent for this segment, probably because they knew I'd remember it being closed originally.
A crucial part of the killer's plan would involve sliding the cord through the boiler room vent and out the other end into the dining hall. So they could then walk upstairs to the dining hall and tie the protruding part of the cord to the dining hall vent.
Funnily enough, the killer was going to be needed in the dining hall very shortly.
Yeah, to help Cass and me rearrange the dining hall's furniture. We were saving the whole thing for next morning, but they convinced us to do it that night instead.
Their intentions were threefold. Create an alibi, hide the vent with a piece of furniture, and then open the vent in secret. After which, they'd return to the boiler room and suspend the battery over the generator.
Which brings us to today. Knowing better than to head downstairs without protection, Wolfgang went to the kitchen and armed himself with a knife. Toshiko didn't notice a knife on him when the two met in the hallway, so he must have hidden it in his blazer.
Wolfgang arrived inside the boiler room at 8:15 a.m., exactly like his letter requested. As he was waiting, the killer snuck up behind him.
And he got smacked right in the head with that steel rolling pin and crumpled like paper.
A syringe was then used to inject Wolfgang with a sleeping drug, ensuring he would remain in the boiler room until Diana arrived.
The killer might have, left the taser on the floor around this time.
Yeah, the taser they swiped from my dorm. They must have decided to raid the place after receiving my blackmail. If I'd heard about the taser sooner, I could have gotten rid of it, as well as whatever else my blackmail supposedly mentions.
Save the instinct for later, will you?
Anyway, back on topic. Wolfgang was left to lie in the partially flooded area of the boiler room, while the killer ran upstairs to help set up Mark's music equipment.
They didn't care about the equipment. They just wanted to put a speaker next to the vent, because it would drown out the fight which was gonna happen later.
Don't forget the digital clock! They wanted to get there before that became available. Don't need people knowing what time you actually arrive.
My letter said to meet at 8:45 a.m. So that's when I got to the boiler room. I made sure to close the door behind me, just as the message told me to.
Bad idea. Killer flipped the doorknob so that the lock was on the outside instead of the inside. You locked yourself in.
The room was really dark too. I didn't even see the suspended battery, only the blinking security camera. And then, Wolfgang, he got up on his feet all of a sudden, and he started crying and saying these weird things. I tried to keep him calm and asked him to come over to me, which he actually did. But the very next second, he attacked me with his knife.
The drugs probably gave him a frightening hallucination, and he perceived you as a threat.
He was screaming at me, and I was screaming back. No one from the tournament could hear us over the music. At one point, I even picked up the taser, but then I threw it back down again.
And that's when the killer decided it was time. Having set their chair to recline, they were able to casually reach down and close the vent behind them. This lowered the extension cord, causing the car battery to enter the water and discharge a huge amount of electricity. Wolfgang, who was still standing in the water, was electrocuted instantly. The battery itself exploded upon reacting with the water, which the killer was likely banking on as a way to destroy evidence. All of this happened right under my nose. No one could have guessed that someone present at the tournament was committing murder.
The explosion also damaged the generator and caused the blackout. Everyone ended up stumbling around in the dark.
Not for long, though. We quickly came back to our senses and agreed to look for a backup generator on the underground floor.
I used a hairpin to unlock the boiler room door and ran outside, but you guys had already made it downstairs.
That's when you say you ducked around a corner and out of sight. Only after everyone went inside the closets did you then dash upstairs.
It's a good thing she did. Otherwise, we'd have found her alone in a room with Wolfgang's dead body. We would have wrongly assumed Diana was the killer, and died as a result. This complicated scheme calls to mind only one person. One person who just so happened to be sitting in a certain sofa chair. That person is you, Ava Sunaka. It's over, Ava. We know the truth.
It's not fair. This isn't fair. This isn't fair.
I mean, she planned out the murder, so it seems pretty fair.
Blood is rushing.
Oh. I have to actually read stuff now. Wonderful, brilliant, spectacular! You have seen beyond the foul lies of this scorned mathematician and delivered the horrible truth with wit and aplomb.
Well done.
This is worthy of praise. Allow me to reward your success with...
This isn't funny.
Can you shut up? Honestly. Valid response. Without Tozu's mad rambling, the trial room had gone completely silent. Everyone was either staring at the floor or sneaking nervous glances at each other. I understand the reason for the frosty atmosphere. You found out who done it. So now you wish to know why done it.
Such a spoiled
Very
sport.
well. Every murder mystery needs a motive. And I would be loath to break tradition at this stage.
There must be something.
Ava, why did you do this? Just why?
Come on.
Speak up. You have nothing to lose now. It was Tozu. Huh? Tozu made me do it.
This is...
What? You've been working with Tozu this whole time?
Such disrespect.
Me and her? Oh, please. If her plan was to secretly infiltrate the killing game, she wouldn't have given herself such an attention-grabbing ultimate title.
Rubbish.
I mean, seriously, ultimate liar. Talk about one on the nose. No. Eva is just as much of a kidnappee as the rest of you.
Son of a bitch!
Shut up! You let her get away with breaking the rules. That's proof enough you're in cahoots.
Holy!
Huh? Ava broke the rules? Yeah, when she blew up school fucking property. The fuck? Why the fuck was I punished for chucking a rock at a camera, but Eva wasn't punished for destroying a fucking generator?
Shit.
Is Ava the exception that Rule was talking about? What? Desmond tapped the screen of the trinket and conjured a familiar square-shaped hologram. With a few swipes of his finger, he located the killing game's rules. Okay, yeah, everyone, take a look at the second rule. Students are not allowed to vandalize any official killing game property, such as the cameras and the toaster trinkets. Exceptions may apply. Do you see how it says exceptions may apply at the end? Since Ava wasn't punished for breaking the generator, could this mean she counts as an exception?
Stop lying!
Are you gonna explain now? Or are you just trying to be a fucking contrarian?
This looks bad.
Well, if I had to make a guess, it's probably because Ava destroyed the generator while committing a murder.
What's all this about?
Are you saying Ava has special privileges? I think it's more like her method of murder was what destroyed the generator. Meaning the generator is technically tied to Wolfgang's death.
Yeah,
Which is why Ava was excused for breaking it.
Slow down.
Yo, that can't actually be the reason, can it?
I see.
And if it were?
Brutal.
What? I see. Ava believed she would count as an exception to the rule, which is why she didn't take any steps to avoid destroying the generator.
What?
She risked getting shot in the head over something she just assumed?
That ain't it.
Nah. With how confidently Ava executed the murder, she must have known for sure she wouldn't be penalized. How about it, Tozu? Did you ever share that information with her?
Who? Me?
A desperate killer is much like a hungry seagull, ready to pounce upon the slightest crumb of substance. A mere implication of a loophole ignites their senses, and they, as desperate as people always do, will shred their dignity in pursuit of confirmation. So to answer your question, yes, Ava approached me with the same questions your friends are asking now. And yes, I confirmed her suspicions were true.
Not okay!
Seriously? That's so unfair!
Pathetic.
Unfair? Answering a reasonable question is far from unfair. Have you never asked a professor for help on an assignment? Sure, your professor won't do the work for you, but they'll be happy to clear up any confusion you might have. Then, when Ava said you made her kill Wolfgang, I suppose you can say Ava and I made a deal. A deal? What kind of deal? A deal to begin the killing game.
Impossible!
In exchange for agreeing to perform the first kill, she would receive a special perk.
Plot twist.
The traitor perk.
Holy!
What do you mean, traitor perk? Is it the tablet Ava has? I mean, she refused to show it to us when we asked. Mind you that a host cannot simply hand over a traitor perk to anyone who asks. For a student to be eligible for a perk, they must first earn it.
That was very...
What do you mean, earn it? Do you recall that little tidbit I shared with you about the pharmacy? You know, the one about a secret lurking inside? You see, a very interesting secret is lurking beyond this door. That secret. Were you referring to the trader perk?
Well done.
Indeed I was. When I said a very interesting secret was lurking inside, I meant that quite literally. The only thing separating you from the perk was a few inches of stainless steel in a pin pad. Pin pad? Oh gosh, you're talking about that big door I found tucked behind the shelf.
I see.
It was hiding the trader perk all along. How did Eva even figure out the password to the pin pad, though? Did she enter a bunch of random numbers until it, finally worked?
Well,
A 4-digit code could have thousands of potential combinations. Unless Eva encountered unbelievable luck, the chances of her guessing that code in a few days is extremely unlikely.
How?
Then, how did she get access to the trader perk? The 4 numbers to unlock the pin pad. How did Ava figure them out? There's only one way. Only one way. I could see her obtaining the correct answer. It's to do with that poster, isn't it? That mysterious poster in the pharmacy. Eh? What poster are you?
Done.
Ding ding ding. Correct. Yes, hidden inside one of the pharmacy's rooms is a poster which reveals a code to the pin pad.
For real?
No.
How can that poster reveal the code, though? So the price? I knew it had to be important somehow. None of the visuals made sense, which is exactly why it caught my attention. But I didn't know what to do with that information. How to decipher what I was seeing.
Pathetic.
And that is where you fell short of your mathematically gifted peer. With her keen eyesight and quick thinking, she saw the poster for what it really was. An equation. What? Oh, don't make me do the math. Every detail is deceitful. Those exclamations of grandeur may in fact be hints toward a certain something's nature, and that large star, a stand-in for a coordinate plane, I can read. Well, not that it matters anymore. The passcode to the precious pin pad is, after all, being changed as we speak. To quote the words of my parents' parents, the road to freedom must always be paved with obstacles. Nailed it.
Heckin' twisted!
No way! A math equation is totally up Ava's alley. Ava, you told me you couldn't understand the poster.
Like the long face?
Of course you did. That equation is the key to the trader perk. Handing it over would mean handing the perk over.
Shit.
So the trader perk was Ava's reward for solving the puzzle?
Anybody?
The heck is the perk? You still haven't explained that yet.
Me?
I assure you, it's a very handy thing to have. You see, the trader perk allows the owner to access the school's security cameras using a tablet. The tablet, of course, being on Ava's person right now.
Damn it.
So, I was right. You accessed the cameras of the boiler room. Which is how you saw Diana enter.
Oh, crud.
I thought it was weird Ava wouldn't show us the tablet, but I didn't think it was actually wired to the school's cameras.
But then...
Then the reason I saw the security camera's light blinking back in the boiler room is because Ava was watching us.
What?
This is making too much sense.
Nonsense.
Ava, How could you negotiate with a kidnapper? Why would you have any reason to trust him? I had no choice. I either take his deal and give myself a chance to escape, or I would die here with the rest of you.
You.
That selfish attitude is the reason why we've ended up in this mess. Didn't we promise to make it out of here together? If you hadn't murdered one of the only people who could have handled this situation, we might have made progress on escaping.
Hang on.
Even if I didn't kill, someone else would have, eventually. And if they were in my position right now, they wouldn't even admit what they've done. They'd cry and snivel and try to guilt you. They wouldn't be honest like me. You lied so much in that trial. What do you mean they wouldn't be honest? You were honest because you had no other choice. You threw birds at me. You threw pellets at me. You didn't give me a pause button. I'm still on that part of it. You were not honest at all, and you were just a pain to deal with. Don't talk about that. Honest or not, playing Tozu's game was risky. You were trapped in a small space with witnesses everywhere. That's not a gamble you should have taken.
What a joke.
We had food, we had shelter. All we had left to do was wait for our eventual rescue from this place. But I would have died first. It was obvious from what was happening with Wolfgang. His constant jeering at me over the few mistakes I'd made, while the rest of you followed his lead. If last trial ever happened with him around, he would have accused me of being the killer even without evidence. And you all would have believed him.
Whoa!
That's not... Shut up! Because of Wolfgang, I was isolated from everyone else. He turned me into an easy target for murder. And if I was murdered, would the rest of you even bother to find out who killed me? There's no way you would. There's no way anyone would. You're all the worst. I hope you all rot here. That's cold, man.
Really let me down.
Even if we had some rough spots, some of us still tried to get along with you. During the gaming tournament, I was fine with you joining.
Ugh.
You think a few games were enough to forgive everything you did to me? None of you actually cared about me. None of you. I'd never been anything to anyone.
Huh?
What do you mean? It really is the same in here as it is out there. I'm always the one people hated. Maybe that's because you just kind of suck. You're an asshole. There's a difference. I didn't choose this talent. I was just doing what others wanted me to do. I was the prodigy student the adults wanted me to be. I thought I did everything right. But I still kept being judged. Everyone else around me resented me, hated me, because they wanted the love I received. Or what they thought was love. And despite all my hard work, the UTP turned me into something I never wanted to be. Even if I wanted to return to normality, it would be impossible. I'm stuck with this talent for life. And now, when I try to become something more than a sad joke, I get hit with the realization that my efforts were for nothing. I never could be anyone else. I'll never get what I deserve. But I cared.
I don't understand.
Ava, I cared about you. I don't get it.
Why?
Ava, why did you frame me? I cared for you and stood up for you whenever I could.
Don't say that!
I wanted to be your roommate. I wanted to help you.
I don't want
It
to.
didn't mean anything. Why? You still agreed with everything Wolfgang said. No matter what he did to me, you kept on supporting him. Is that why you tried to frame me for his murder? Yeah, and you deserved it.
No.
Diana let a sob and nearly fell onto her podium. Diana! Eloise ran over to Diana and put an arm around her shoulder.
How can you believe that?
Why did you have to kill Wolfgang in front of her? It's so cruel. Nah, Ava's not Sigma. Ava needs to just go. There is no respect for her. She obviously knew what she was doing. Both the cause and time of death were mentioned in the mock trial case. So it stands to reason they would have been mentioned here too. When Ava realized that, she tried to leverage it against us. I'm sure receiving that little camera perk made it all too easy to time the murder.
Shut it!
Enough of this bullshit already. So Ava's a privileged little asshole who thinks her life sucks. Who cares?
Fuck you!
You took Wolfgang's life. The only thing you deserve is some fucking comeuppance.
Sheesh.
Now she's actually telling the truth. Murdering someone because they lied about their inoffensive talent? Even she must know how ridiculous that sounds.
How can that be?
If Ava didn't kill Wolfgang because she was scared, then why did she kill him?
Honestly?
Why else but to escape the killing game? I doubt any of us were ever a threat to her. In fact, it was probably the complete opposite.
Shocking.
She thought she was smarter and better than all of us. That's why she thought she could win the class trial.
My thoughts exactly.
Yes, I agree with Winona. In that case, do you reckon Ava killed Wolfgang for whatever I accidentally skipped? She herself admitted he would have suspected her if he was here. Clearly, Wolfgang was the best person to kill if she wanted to escape.
No.
And anyway, Ava isn't the only one who's vulnerable. There are people here with even weaker bodies and weaker minds. Anyone who is looking for an easy kill would know to target them first. Yeah. I'll be honest, I feel like Mark has a technical safety net of Jet, just because he's like, hey, bud, hey, hi, hello, hi, hello. Would you like to be friends? No? Okay, but we can still be friends, right? You know, he's great. Love him. It doesn't matter. Yeah, it doesn't matter. Can we bring on the execution? Is she gonna be killed by crows? Even if no one targeted me, I still would have died first. How so? Because of the perk. Huh? Dozy told me that if I didn't use the perk to murder someone as soon as possible, I was going to die.
What did you say?
What?
Nonsense!
Is that true, Tozy?
Who? Me?
Guilty as charged.
Dude, no!
No way! Tozy never told me the number of the days I had left, just that I needed to kill soon. If I didn't kill soon, I'd die.
This isn't fair!
I had to do something. You can't blame me for that. If you were in my shoes, you would have all done the same.
Worthless.
It's your own fault. You were only in that situation because you took the perk.
No!
Tozu targeted me with a math puzzle. He offered me the perk when I was at my lowest point. If you guys were approached the same way... yeah, I was, and offered the chance to go home, you would have taken the perk too. You're just a bunch of hypocrites. You just want to make me look like a villain so you feel less bad about killing me. Killing her? That's right. That's right. How could I forget? The blackened is uncovered. Dumbass! Enough already. Sick of talking to this scumbag. Get on with the fucking execution, will you? I don't know what accent I'm trying to do for her anymore. Alright, alright. This soap opera is entertaining, but I realize it's time to change the channel. Huh? Wait! Don't tell me you're actually going to... Execution time. Is it gonna be birds? Is it gonna be talent-based? I don't know if I want to have a mathematician execution. That sounds really boring. Is it birds? All of a sudden, the elevator behind us began to churn alive. The whir of machinery could be heard from the other side of this door, raw and loud and rhythmic, like a mechanical symphony.
The show must go on.
Do not avert your eyes, ladies and gentlemen. I hear a lot of the budget went into this. No, I don't... What's going on? This isn't happening. This isn't happening. Okay, someone, like, turn her away. Don't let her see.
Blood is
To the victor goes the spoils. Hail the honorable dead, avenged at last. I don't deserve this. Even if you hate me, I don't deserve this. May our charitable justice inspire fear and humility within these wretched souls.
Don't kill me!
This isn't fair. I don't deserve to die. I deserve to live. I deserve to live. And stir the hearts and minds of those who bear witness. Ready, everyone? Let the show begin.
I want to live. I deserve to live. I'm going to live. I'm going to live!
Oh, I can't wait to see this. And now we present the execution of Eva Tsuna. Huh. Enjoy the show. Oh, that's gotta hurt. Oh. yeah, that's about how you react to that. That went harder than, I would say, 90% of the Danganronpa executions in brutality. Yep.
I can't handle it!
My entire body had seized up. I couldn't move a single limb. I couldn't say a single word. All I could do was stand and stare, my mind at a complete and total loss.
There's no way.
So that's what a punishment entails. Let me go home. Please, let me go home.
Isn't this lovely?
Goodness, talk about a heated moment. Ava put up quite a fight. For a second there, she almost had me, believing we'd underestimated her.
Moving on.
Just kidding.
I'll be damned.
How can you do this? Forcing these innocent people to kill each other.
Terrible.
So
Just
judgmental.
terrible.
Need I remind you that this is student-on-student warfare?
Get out.
Just shut up already. Ava, why? You just needed a friend. I could have been the friend you needed. Why did you do this?
I can't believe it.
I think I'm gonna be sick. That's a valid response. I would probably get sick for this. Or like, from this kind of thing. I don't even know what I'm feeling anymore. I don't want to die. I don't want to die.
Oh, shit!
I'm totally gonna die here, aren't I?
Can't be like this.
No one else is gonna die. You hear? We're all gonna be okay. Come on. Repeat after me. I'm here and I'm okay. I'm here and I'm okay. I'm here and I'm okay. This is my reality. The fear of death had already been heavy on my shoulders ever since the killing game was announced. But now it completely enveloped me. I can't do it. I can't lie to myself again. Again?
It's all my fault.
Not okay. I'm never gonna be okay. I could have changed things. I could have saved her. And him, Wolfgang. If I just dragged him out of the water, I could have saved him. Why didn't I save him?
Whoa!
Diana, you had no way of knowing what was gonna come next. He was wielding a knife, too. Anyone would have done what you did. Did he really bring a knife for self-defense? Usually a comment like this would have gotten a rise out of Grace. She stayed completely silent. I can't let it end. Wolfgang's kindness, I can't let anyone forget it.
It is how it
That
is.
goes without saying. I'm sure everyone will remember what Wolfgang did for us. I've never thought of the lengths my talent can go. The ability to change others' appearances to be the best version of themselves. It's always been someone else who sits in front of the mirror. Never really put myself in that place. Diana, are you okay? Oh, just let her vent, it's cool. She definitely needs it. If I can't save Wolfgang, at the very least, maybe I can live for him.
Believe me.
You didn't do anything wrong, Diana.
Pardon me.
Yeah. I can do this. I can fulfill the life he wasn't able to live. Huh?
Like a chameleon, I will adapt. I'll follow in Wolfgang's footsteps and continue what he wasn't able to accomplish. I'll become something new.
Tears were running down Diana's face, but her expression... Somehow, she looked determined. I couldn't understand it. Despite everything she's been through, here she was making some silly vow about continuing Wolfgang's legacy. Acting like she's a hero from a storybook. Has this girl lost her mind?
Hold on.
Wolfgang and Eva. Neither of them deserve this. I won't let what happened to them happen to anyone else here.
We won't back down.
For both their sakes, I'll save everyone from the killing game.
You've got to be kidding me.
Take this seriously, will you?
What?
Can this get any worse?
It seems your peers aren't much in the mood for heroic dialogues.
Moving on.
Anyhow, it's been a long day, and the crime scene has already been cleaned up. Unless you have any further questions for me, you are all free to return to your dorms. So, any further questions?
Get lost.
Ingrates.
Now, where have I heard that one before? In all seriousness, I'll take that as a no.
Good evening.
Ahem. Until next time, everyone. Just like that, Tozu walked over to the throne.
Isn't this lovely?
By the way, you're all safe to ride the elevator back up. We've set it back to its default mode. What you glimpsed before was simply its punishment mode. On that ominous note, he was lowered underground. Hey guys, should we just go back to our rooms? Aye, it's about time we draw this day to a close. Good idea. People suddenly made their way to the elevator. Horror and despair etched on their faces. It was clear today's events would not be easily forgotten. And then there was me. Everything I'd been ruminating over. The devastating images which had been plaguing my mind. Wolfgang's murder. The trial. Eva dying right in front of me. Swallowed by a pit of fire. It had all retreated to the corners of my mind. The only thing I could focus on now were those 5 words. I'll follow in Wolfgang's footsteps. Hearing those words come from Diana. After everything that's happened, seeing her raise her chin and act so tall and proud, just like Wolfgang once did. It pissed me off. That was not what I was expecting. It's a feather. And a to be continued. Alright. I think I've said what I need to say. That was the end of Chapter 1. Chapter 2 will be out whenever it comes out. And when it comes out, I'm definitely going to play it. But, yeah. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed it, make sure to stick around. Drop a follow, join the Discord. Stalk the link tree. whatever you gotta do. But until next time, goodbye.